our city attorney, Dave Greco, to our deputy clerk, and to our audience here, the administrative staff. This is a special meeting study session, and this purpose of this meeting is to review an audit presentation from Plant Moran for the fiscal year ending in June 30th, 2025. And at this time, we will take roll call. Councilwoman Abdo? Here. Councilman Bullock? Here. Councilman Jones? Here. Councilwoman Roscoe? Here. Councilwoman Talley?
Here.
Councilman Wadsworth?
Here.
And Councilman Wilhide? Here. Madam Chair, we have a quorum for this special meeting study session.
Okay.
The special meeting agenda reads as follows. Number 1, roll call. Number 2, agenda. 3, discussion. The audit presentation for the fiscal year ending in June 30th, 2025. 4, public comment. 5, adjournment. And a motion is in order to accept tonight's special meeting agenda as presented.
So moved.
Support.
It's been motioned by Ms. Abdo, seconded by Ms. Roscoe for the approval of the special meeting agenda. Ms. Abdo?
Here. Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Wilhide?
Yes.
Mr. Bullock?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Thank you, City Council. We are now in discussion, agenda item number 3, and I guess I'm going to call on our Finance Director, Maria Ferris, and she will take us to the next level here.
Good evening, Council, Mayor, Chief of Staff, Clerk, Administrative Staff, and everyone here in our audience. Tonight, Plant Moran is here with a presentation. We are going to be talking about our audit as of 6/30/2025 ending. And I have Bill Brickey and Phil here to discuss the presentation. And we're going to start with Bill.
Thank you, Maria, and good evening. So as mentioned, I'm Bill Brickey with Plant Moran, the audit partners on your account, and we are here today to talk about the June 30, 2025 audit engagement. When we talk about the audit, there are several different deliverables that I believe you have. So you have the city's financial statement, which is the large bound document. We also issue 2 separate letters, report to mayor and council, and then our report on the city's internal controls. And then we have the graph presentation, which we'll go through in just a moment. So we have covered all these documents in detail with mayor and management, and our goal tonight is to provide you a high-level summary and certainly address any questions that you may have. And I do know a few of you will see this be hearing about this for the first time. So again, want to make sure it's as useful as it can be. So certainly, if you have questions, please ask. Before we get going, I want to take just a quick minute and thank Maria, Gary, and your entire finance team for their assistance throughout the audit. The audit does take several months to complete, and we appreciate all their cooperation, so we're able to complete it in an efficient manner. For the presentation tonight, I want to cover a few audit-related matters before we get into the graphs. And then again, the graphs will just be a high-level summary of some of the financial information that is included in that financial statement. So not really going to ask you to flip to the pages that I talk about here in the documents, but just want to describe some of the key items that are included in your package. So our main deliverable to you as your auditor is our opinion on your financial statement. So included in that large bound document on page 1, that's the only thing in there that belongs to Plant Moran. It's on our letterhead, and basically we're opining on the financial statements. And the city did receive what we refer to as an unmodified audit opinion, again in the current year, which essentially means the statements are in compliance with all the rules and regulations. So it doesn't speak to whether they're good numbers or bad numbers, really just that they're accurate numbers. So that's the highest form of assurance we can provide, and the city did receive that unmodified opinion again in the current year. In addition to that, we also issued our 3-page report on the city's internal controls. So if you were looking at that one, right on the top, the header starts off with report on internal controls over financial reporting. And what this is the expectation is when we come out to do the audit, the numbers that were provided don't need to be changed at all. So it's a really low bar when it comes to us reporting things to you. So in the current year, on page 3, you'll see what we have what we refer to as one audit finding. And that's because during the audit process, we helped the city record some capital asset additions as well as some debt transactions. And so we are allowed to do this as your auditor. It's just whenever we make or propose any adjustments to your financial records that are provided to us, we have to tell you about it. And that's really what this letter does. Important to note that the adjustments that we proposed and were made had nothing to do with cash transactions. These were year-end closing entries so that the financial statements can be prepared. Historically, we've always had this finding, and the amount of entries that we're identifying continues to be reduced. So now we're down to basically two types of transactions, and each year your finance department kind of improves and does more of the work there. In addition to that letter, we also have a second letter that's addressed to mayor and council. And what this is really just our end of audit report. And this takes us through explaining the audit process. And if we had any other issues, like if we had any issues with management, we had any significant delays, if there was anything like that, they'd be documented in that other 3-page letter. And happy to report, besides that one audit finding that I just talked about, we did not have any issues with the audit. So really, really clean audit. Overall, the city continues to have strong internal controls, and your team really does a great job maintaining the financial records. So again, overall, good news on the auditing front. So in addition to those items, we have prepared this graph presentation to really highlight some of the financial results and a couple of key items. So I'll call Phil up here, and we'll start going through the graph presentation. Phil?
Thank you, Bill. So as Bill mentioned, each one of you should have received a copy, but also it's being presented out here. Our graph package meant to summarize really the 80-plus pages of your financial statements. So we'll start with the first slide here. So we're looking at your general fund revenues and transfers. We like to show this for the past 3 years. Compared to the prior year, you were up about $478,000 in total revenue. A big chunk of that is related to your property tax revenue, which increased about $682,000 due to increase in property tax values. Now that increase was offset by some decreases, so intergovernmental went down about $431,000. This is just from some grant revenue that was recognized in the prior years. And then license and permit revenue that can fluctuate, and so that decreased about $179,000 just from less significant construction projects as compared to the prior year. In the other, there's also some items there, and then you have your interest revenue, which increased about $404,000. So on this graph, you will see, we did want to point out just from 2023 to 2025, there is a decrease, but that's what we would expect to see. In 2023, you would have recognized a one-time award for ARPA revenue. That was about $2.4 million, was not expected to recur. So that was all recognized in 2023. As well as in 2023, there was some significant projects and some big permit revenue coming into that. So that was a one-time large permit revenue that would have increased that. Otherwise, you have increase from the prior year. The next slide we have here is now looking at that same general fund, but looking at your expenditures and transfers. So in total, expenses increased about $2.3 million. Of that, general government increased about $267,000 related to just increased costs in city operations. Public safety transfers, which we'll go into in a couple slides, that increased about $1.5 million. Your public safety expenses increased about $857,000. Both of those increased just from the city being able to fully staff the police and fire departments. So with those being fully staffed, you have those full costs. And then the public works, you'll see that kind of fluctuated in 2024. It's down a little bit in 2025, down about $586,000. That was due to some large sidewalk projects being started in 2024 and then wrapped up in 2025. The next graph we have here is looking at unassigned fund balance, and we do a comparison over the past 10 plus years. It did decrease about $1.5 million. We'll talk a little bit about that. So unassigned fund balance is fund balance that isn't restricted, committed, or assigned for any other purpose. It can be used as needed. And the city does set aside and assign certain fund balance for future budget use, so that increased a little bit, which would take away from your unassigned, as well as just using fund balance. So in the current year, there was about $230,000 of fund balance used. That's a lot less than budgeted. It was about $6.1 million, so continuing to monitor those costs. So you will use that fund balance from time to time, and that is what happened this year. But overall, as we like to look at it, we would compare your unassigned fund balance to your expenditures of your general fund. So that represents about 41% of your annual expenditures, which we would consider to be healthy.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Maria, is there any reason why that unassigned went down like that? Do you have any speak to that specifically?
The unassigned for last year is.
Yeah, from last year to this year.
Right, so, we're gonna go into the slides coming up, but it is in the investment into public safety.
Okay,
Yeah,
Okay.
so, and what we stated on the previous slide, let's go back to 2. If you look at the graph, the very first line, which is public safety, you'll see it's a little bit over 3 million. If you look right now, it's 3.8 million, so that's, almost 800 and some thousand of an increase in expenses just in public safety.
okay,
So when we do invest more to bring up that staffing level into public safety, we did use some of the fund balance, which is that unassigned portion that we're talking about.
gotcha. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm sorry.
We talked about it, Ms. Kelly,
Okay.
we're a team here.
Okay.
So the next couple of graphs that we have here, we like to show the property tax distribution. So what these next couple of graphs and slides will show is just for every dollar collected, how much goes to the city for city operations versus how much might be collected on behalf of other taxing authorities. So the first image we have here is just a dollar, with the green highlights being those that relate to the city. So it'd be your operating millage, your public safety millage, sanitation, promotions, those items. And if we go to the next slide to kind of show this a little more, for every dollar collected by the city, 31 cents goes to city for the municipal operations, the rest goes to the other taxing authorities. And that's shown more in this graph, the third of the graphs, which breaks it up. So you have your city operating, which is about 19%. Your restricted, which would be the public safety, library, sanitation, those represent about 12%. And then the rest goes to other taxing authorities. So 22% would be schools, and then the remaining would be like the county, the state education. So really trying to show here that for every dollar that comes in, it's not a dollar that goes directly to city. 31 cents of that goes to city operations, or those restricted millages. The rest would be collected and then dispersed to those taxing authorities. The next couple of graphs we have here, so we just talked about this is a public safety fund, and what we're comparing on this one is showing the millage that's levied for public safety as compared to those expenses. So you'll see here there's about 4 million of revenue, that's up about 230,000 from the prior year, relates to those property taxes with those increase in taxable values. While the expenditures are up to 1.4 million, which as we talked about is the increase from having the full staffing as well as some capital projects. In this graph, what this graph is really trying to show is that for your millage, it's not covering the full amount, it's covering about 4 million of those expenses, and the rest is then covered by the general fund, which show on the next slide, this shows the transfers to the public safety fund from the general fund to cover really those additional costs that aren't covered by the millage. So you'll see for the past couple of years, it's gone up to about 10 million, 10.1 million this year, and it's projected up more from that just from having that full staffing. Next, we just quickly wanted to do one graph on the water and sewer system. So what this is looking at is your working capital. So this would be what's called current assets, or items that are either cash or investments that can easily be converted into cash or investments, and comparing it to amounts that would be due within 1 year or less. And so what you're seeing here is that it's increased about 2.3 million. There is that steady increase which you'd like to see, and it's really building up those reserves and those amounts to fund future infrastructure costs. So really building those reserves to fund those future infrastructure based on a detailed capital plan for water and sewer that is being worked on by the city.
I got my man.
And then the last graph that we have, this is looking at your legacy costs. So this would be your pension or your retiree health care or OPEB. And what we really want to show here is looking at the past several years, you will see that is decreasing, meaning it's getting more funded. So in the past year, your OPEB liability decreased about 1.13 million, really due to strong market performance, some earnings on the amounts that were deposited in there. So that's about 26% funded. And then your pension has a 772,000 decrease in that liability, so that's 60% funded. Once again, the decrease in that liability is due to strong market performance. And it's just important to know for your pension, since you are in the MERS plan, this is based off of 12/31/2024, which would be MERS year end. But as you can see, the main point of the graph is showing that you're continuing to focus in that, and those liabilities are going down. Can I answer any other questions?
Any questions from council?
Through the chair, just a quick comment. You'll see, we've been talking about these plans of transparency, and you'll see a couple anomalies that change and flow, but it's been about the increase in spending in public safety infrastructure and our parks and recreation. That's why you'll see those anomalies that are in there. So they're not hiccups or something we didn't see, we forecasted those. Our unassigned fund balance is our rainy day fund, right? So if we look at 80% of the violent crime in our community is committed by people who don't live in our community, it's raining, in my opinion. So we would increase funding for public safety as well as our infrastructure, because we have failed infrastructure. So those are the two things we've been investing in, and that's why you've seen us use a little bit more of that unassigned fund balance. Industry standards say to maintain at least a 20% or higher, we're right around 35 to 40%. So we still have a healthy fund balance even with those increases, so we're going to continue to tweak those a little bit, but all of those were foreseen and planned. There was no hiccups or any surprises for us in there. So just wanted to share that.
No, it makes sense. I just wanted to know what that was, so makes sense, though. Were you guys done with your presentation?
Yes.
Okay, so I've been charged, our previous Mayor Pro Tem always asks a question of Plant Moran, but before I ask my question, where's Stacy Reeves? Where's she at?
Stacy Reeves is still involved in the city's audit, but she's taking a larger role at Plant Moran as like the head of our public sector. And so she is, I believe, out of town this week.
Okay.
So
Will you tell her I
she's
said
doing
hi?
great. I will tell her you said hi, 100%. Yes.
And our Mayor Pro Tem, my mentor, John Barton, always said, if you had to give a grade for the city of Romulus, what would that be?
If I had to give a grade, I would certainly give an A. I think we have strong fund balance and, again, unmodified opinion, and you are planning for, as the mayor pointed out, future infrastructure. I think the biggest challenges for older communities, and a lot of communities, is making sure that you're setting money aside to fund sidewalks, roads, water and sewer projects, and certainly you are doing that.
Thank you. Appreciate it. No one has anything? A. I don't think it was an A. Was it an A last year? It was an A?
Yeah, it was.
Okay, okay.
It was a low A.
We'll take it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If there's nothing else under discussion, it takes us to number 4, public comment, and this is the section on the agenda for audience members who wish to address the city council regarding tonight's special meeting. To address city council, raise your hand, and after being acknowledged by the chairperson, approach the podium and you may state your name. You will have 3 minutes to speak, and any additional time will be granted at the discretion of the chairperson.
Anybody want to speak in the audience? No? Okay, let's close it out.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That takes us to number 5, adjournment, and the time is 6:36.
So moved.
Support. All righty, it's been motion.